massive book haul. Starting in no particular order, just pulling it off the top of that pile, we're gonna start with Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. So this one I'm excited about. It's like really big for like a romance novel, which is kind of like why I wanted to read it, because I find that romance novels are really short most of the time. So I'm like, ooh, like a bigger one, and it has a really pretty cover, and I think because it's like technically the springtime now, this one just really stood out, and I'm like, oh, it's like springtime vibes. So this one is about a woman named Naomi, and she basically runs away from her wedding. She runs away from the altar and tries to basically leave that whole life behind. And she has a twin sister who apparently has a niece, and I think that she leaves her niece with Naomi to take care of. There's this bad boy barber named Knox who somehow gets involved, and he's just gonna help her sometimes, right? He's never gonna get involved. We'll see. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one. Next up, we got Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aora Asher. And honestly, I picked up this book because look at this. I think that this book is about like a circus, and there's this woman who works at the circus, and there is this like mysterious guy who has no memories, doesn't remember who he is or anything about his life, and she's kind of drawn to him for some reason, and together I guess they kind of get to know each other, and there's like magic and darkness and stuff that happens. Honestly, not entirely sure. I picked it just because I love this. Next up, got the 3 other books in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson that I'm reading. So we got Words of Radiance, which is book number 2, Oathbringer, which is book number 3, and Rhythm of War, which is book number 4. So I just finished the first one, and I gotta say, this is probably one of the coolest high fantasy books that I've ever read. The world building is so good. Magic, characters, just like the writing in general. These books are big, but they don't feel big, and like it's just so great. So I'm actually reading this one as we speak because like I just had to, you know. So the next books that we're gonna go through, I'm borrowing them from one of my friends. I saw her the other like week for her birthday, and she's like, oh hey, like here are some books, and I'm like, oh thank you. And so that's where these books came from. So 1984 by George Orwell is one of the books that I'm borrowing. Part of my 2024 reading goals is to read the classics that I never read. This one I wanted to read. Funny enough, I actually did own this book, but then I gave it to my brother's girlfriend at the time, and then they broke up, so I never got the book back. So now I have the book, and it's about like censorship and not allowing individuality and like constantly being monitored and all that stuff. So I'm honestly really excited about this because it's like controversial, but it's also like people say it's a really good read. So next up, my friend let me borrow Stalking the Jack the Ripper trilogy by Kerri Maniscalco, and the way she described it to me was tasteful smut, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my language. And I love Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco. That book was so good, so I'm very excited to read more of her stuff, starting with Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is the first one in this series, and from my understanding it's about a woman who is in love with Jack the Ripper, and she's also like a detective, so interested to see how that goes, and I'm very excited for the spice. Also in the series, there's Hunting Prince Dracula and Escaping from Houdini. Last but not least, I also got the Realmbreaker trilogy. This is by Victoria Aveyard, who made the Red Queen series. Oh. She knows I don't like dust covers, so that's why these ones don't have it. So the first one in this series is Realmbreaker and Bladebreaker and Fatebreaker. The way my friend described these books to me, because like we don't have the dust cover to kind of refer to it, but she said it's really cool pirates and like strong female characters. I'm like, pirates, strong female characters, Victoria Aveyard, sold. Pretty much that's, yeah, sold. And that concludes the book haul, which is great because there's a lot of books, but I didn't have to buy all of them, which is nice because books are expensive these days. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. As you can tell, there'll be a lot of videos because there are a lot of books here for me to read. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!